So I am such a dummy. I had some computer issues a little while back, and I found that I had some faulty hardware. So what I ended up having to do was not only replace a lot of the hardware in my computer, but had to do a fresh install of Windows. When I did that, I did not realize that my saves were on my primary drive. So when I swiped my drive and replaced Windows, I lost a few months of this game, because as you can see, we are in early October 1864, and I believe the last recording I had available was the end of July. So I'm deeply apologetic for that. It won't happen again. Fortunately, not a whole lot happened between August and now. So what I can do is I can bring you up to speed on what's going on now, and I think that should be sufficient to fill in that gap. Because like I said, there wasn't too much going on in the last 2 months, surprisingly, because it was summer and it's 64. But so let's go over first. We're gonna hit Virginia and just kind of go over disposition here. So what I have is I've got Lee, who's got his own corps. I don't like the fact that he only has 2 divisions. I'm trying to rectify that as soon as possible. Obviously, the rule of thumb you want to have for any corps is to have at least 3 divisions per corps. So I'm going to move him up and put him in with Lee so that I can bring that up to speed of 3 divisions per corps. Claiborne's got his own corps here of 3 divisions. One thing I don't do enough of is show you the actual number of troops. So here you can see he's got approximately, what is that, 14,900, about 20 to 21,000 troops in this particular corps. And that's going to be pretty consistent across the board for my different corps, about 20, I'd say roughly 20,000 troops per corps. 2 elite divisions here in Claiborne. Longstreet has 1 elite division and 3 divisions total. In terms of officers, McClaw's a 3 defense, D.H. Hill's a 3 defense, and then Ewell's obviously my more offensive-minded commander, which doesn't really help me down here with Longstreet because I don't anticipate doing any attacking with Longstreet, but this is kind of how it's shaped out. Claiborne, a 1 defense with Hardy. That's more just because I'm running out of generals to run divisions, so that's why he's now got his own division. Early with a 3 defense, and then Alexander with the 2 defense. And again, I like the 2 defense, that's why I gave him a division. But that's really the primary reason. And then I have 2 elites here. Lee has Kirby Smith with the 2 defense, and then Kershaw with the 2 defense. The thing I like with Kershaw is he has charisma, right? So +5 cohesion, charisma, and recovery. For units under his command. Then Jackson up here, 3 divisions also with Nathan Bedford Forrest, 2 defense. I go back and forth with him. Perhaps I could be better with cavalry in this game. I would say it's probably my weakest strength in this game is utilizing cavalry effectively. He was traditionally a cavalry commander. However, I really like that 6 attack, right? So I would say use him probably more as like an independent command, as like an independent division if you can't get him promoted up. I was hoping to get him promoted up. I was not able to this game just because he hasn't been involved in enough combat. But if you can get him up to corps command, that is like the best way to maximize his capabilities. AP Hill, 3 defense, and then obviously that 5 strategic value, so he's also a good commander to have independently. And I actually had him operating I think independently earlier in this game, and I may end up doing that later as well. And then finally, John Bell Hood, right? 4 attack, 2 defense. Not a good corps commander, so that's why I have not promoted him, even though he's eligible for a promotion. He does take a hit, I believe, on some of those stats, and I like him better as a division commander or independent command, just like you would use AP Hill. And then Jackson, 655. I didn't actually cover the stats for the corps commanders here. Claiborne is a 647 with some nice bonus stats, and then Longstreet is a 646. So what he had done is he jumped across here and attacked. So I went, attacked him. I believe there's some battles I can go over here in a moment. I went up, I took what is it? It's Winchester, Newmarket, and then I'm bouncing back. Yeah, he'll take it back, but you know what? in the meantime, it is a plantation area, so I get 75 supply and a recruit for every turn that I hold that. So that's why I like to take it, and if I can grab it for a couple turns, great. Little Richmond, not a whole lot that I have here at the moment. I have a little over half a division. And then down here at Norfolk, I've got a full division with artillery to attack anyone who tries to slip by, and then also more artillery here. Trying to cover the river. So I'm also kind of slowly lining the James here, James River, with artillery, so that if he tries to send his ships up, I will bombard him. Same thing here. And then here, I'm just doing this because more for defense purposes. In the event that he tries to come up this way from Fort Monroe, I'll have some entrenchment already there, and I can rail in. Since that's connected to the rail line, I can rail in pretty quick. Let's go over the battles here really quick before I leave Virginia, and then also go over the overall casualties, which I can show you towards the end of this video. So we had just a little skirmish here, which was right in here. This is Stuart, me taking Newmarket. So this was the battle that occurred last turn. He had more troops than I did, and I also had the river crossing. But he had just gotten in there, and I don't think, if I recall correctly, I don't believe he was there yet. And so we kind of got there about the same time. I'm very surprised I won this battle, to be honest with you, and so was Josh when I talked to him, because pretty even strength, right? In terms of numbers, I have a little bit better leadership than Custer. He only has a 1 defense, and I have obviously a 3 attack with Fitzlee, who also, I don't think he has a 3 attack. I think it's a 3-1-1. Yeah. So, anyways, I was able to win that surprisingly, even with the river crossing. But I had artillery, which helped, and then he fled. The only thing I can think of is maybe his cohesion was pretty low when he got there, and that's what caused him to leave. So I was able to win it. Pushed him back to, I'm guessing up here. Yeah, there's Custer. So pushed him up there. Nope, jump back across the river before he has a chance to get at me. All right, Mobile. So I am incredibly frustrated with what's happening down here. So he landed in Mobile with 56,000 troops, right? I saw him coming. To land. And what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to take a chance here. So I positioned. So remember that the Army of the Shenandoah was up here at Jackson. I was able to hold there. He did not attack me again after the end of July battle that happened up here. I railed down with the idea of hitting him when he landed, and basically catching him with like no entrenchment, low cohesion, because he would have landed from ships, and basically pitched a battle with him. I would have twice as many troops as he would have, thereabouts. And I felt pretty good about it because I've got, 6 divisions here with all well-led troops. 2 attack with B, 4 attack with Ramsar, 3 attack with Cheatham. And then obviously Stewart's a 4-2-4. And then Johnston, right? 4-2-4. And Holmes, 2 attack. McCulloch, 2 attack. And then finally Stevenson, which he's there for more defensive value. But, 6 divisions, well-led officers. And I made my activation roll, because see, they're all red when I got there. Well, no battle occurred. So now we all share this area. He has 100% military control, which doesn't make any sense to me, because I got in here, I made my activation rolls, so I'm here. I should at least have 5%. And there was no battle. So pretty frustrated, because it was a gamble, and it's a gamble that should have paid off given how everything played out here. And instead, now we're both hanging out here, which now gives him a chance to recover his cohesion, get dug in a bit more. And now I'm kind of stuck, because he has 100% military control. So that means it's going to be harder for me to move out of this region, because I don't have 5% military control. So this is one of the things sometimes in this game, like the mechanics don't make any sense. Like, this makes no sense. Like, the rule is, if you move into a territory, you get 5% military control automatically, right? And forces you into an offensive posture, even if you're trying to move into that region on defensive. So this should be 95.5, and again, I'm harping on this for two reasons. One, I made my activation roll, so I should have engaged in combat with him. I didn't get here on day 15. I know that. I got here like, I think, day 6 or 7 or something. And then on top of that, I should at least have 5%, because that 5% would allow me to move out of the region more easily. With him having 100%, now I'm bogged down. Now it's going to be hard for me to get out of here because of the way the mechanics work. If you're in 100% military control by somebody else, it makes it much more difficult for your units to move out of that region, if even if the enemy is on defense posture. So, because what happens is, because you don't have 5%, it automatically makes you go on the offensive when you try and move out, and so it forces you to pitch battle. So, big gamble, and now I'm probably I'm gonna stay here and try and pitch battle with him again, and see what happens. Because honestly, if I try and get out of here, it's gonna probably cause a battle anyways, and I've forfeited this position over here at Jackson now. So my idea is, okay, let's try and schwack him. If I can take back Mobile and push him into the ocean, fantastic. We'll see how the battle goes, and if the casualties aren't what I want, or I'm not able to push him out of here, what I'll do is I'll rail back up to here, up to Meridian, Mississippi, and set up a defensive posture up here. All right, so just moved my Indians up here. Part of the reason is I'm trying to get, up into the interior here with him to try and do some of that Indian plunder cards. Use some of those. So I'm not quite up there yet, but as you can see, I've taken this area here. I've taken here, and then I'm just going to kind of bounce around this middle area and try and get up into his interior and harass him a little bit. As you can see over here, I've got him chilling on the rail line, trying to get some military control and so forth. Okay, so then this was the battle I was talking about earlier. As you can see, I've got 68,700 troops. He had 63,500. This was where Jackson was at when he was moving in. Good battle for us. Not the sort of casualties that I wanted, though. I really wanted to hit him hard. He was attacking me, and I don't think he didn't realize, I think, that Jackson was coming up, because I think he was attacking a small little group of troops, and then I ended up moving Jackson in there and ended up being a full-on pitch battle. But I was hoping for more casualties, because I think he had a river crossing. No river crossing, but he did have some cowardice during battle. But so the start of the battle, Jackson and Claiborne were the two corps that started off there, and he had looked like maybe 3 corps. Yeah, but hour 1, 16 inflicted and 12, so not not a big shooting war yet. This is just 1 corps under Jackson here. And then Claiborne shows up. And now we're really putting it to him. I had 21 elements, and he only had 16 committed. And part of it, too, is the landscape. We're in the mountains, so you just can't deploy all your troops the way you want to. And then, again, just really taking it to him. And now you can see, like, 1, if not 2 of his corps have fled at this point. And so now he's pretty outnumbered in terms of overall numbers. Although, again, because we're in the mountains, I can't fully commit my troops. So I'm only able to commit 21, even though he's got the 16. So I have a total of 178 available. He's got 85. He had at round 2, he had 147. So you can see a bunch fled. And then the final hour of battle, all my guys are still there. He's still at 85. He took pretty heavy casualties at this point, and that's when he fled altogether, resulting in 2,800 casualties, which is not very much for someone with 63.5 on red. And then same for me, right? I'm on red, trying to hit him as hard as possible. But because we're on the mountains and I can't deploy as many troops, he was able to get away. So, and I lost 1,700. And that was right here where Jackson's at. So he ended up fleeing back that way. Yeah, and then that's Milton. So, okay, so let's go over the west here. On these rail lines, I have some cavalry that's chasing around these militias who are trying to tear up my rail lines. So that's what's going on there, up in this rail line right here. Up here near Chattanooga, I've got Taylor, who's training up, volunteers and militia to line officers, and then I'm kind of redeploying them to the front. I've got Beauregard, which I'm going to go through the same thing here for this army that I did with Lee. Beauregard is a 424. He's got his own stack and then also 3 more corps. So this is a pretty big army over here, right? I've got Pender, who's a 442. Winder, 322. And then finally, Wilcox, who's a 323. Polk, who's not the best of corps commanders, but he does have a 2 defense. Got him as a 323 with Magruder. He's got some nice stats, surprise, and then also, adept at establishing dummy positions. Huger for the artillery bonus. Anderson is a 433. He's an excellent division commander. He also has an elite unit inside him, inside his division there. And then Joseph Wheeler, 541, and really he's better as a cavalry commander, particularly with that 5 strategic rating, or to use him as an independent command, right? But I'm really short right now on division commanders, so I made him into a division commander for the time being. Smith, who's a pretty good corps commander, albeit not under Beauregard, but he's got a 442 under Wharton, 322 under Rhodes, and then Heath, he's better stats than that. I just created a division out of him, so that's why his stats are a little manipulated. And then finally, Johnson, who's a good corps commander with that 4 defense. And honestly, like him and Smith, their ratings are better under Lee, to be honest with you. But so I got Stephen Lee, who's an excellent artillerist, and you can use him as a division commander as well, as a 423, and then an elite under Gardner, who's a fantastic defense division, 315, and then finally Shelby, who's obviously fantastic. Lots of epic stats with him, 645. I get that he's supposed to be a cavalry officer, but his stats are such that I just think he's best as a division commander. I really do. I did not get him involved in many points in the game as I'd wanted. That's something I wish I could have done over again. Him and Forrest, a bit more aggressive, those 2 officers, to get them up. He's really hard to get up to corps command, though, right? I mean, you just want to make sure that he's at the tip of the spear for your armies as a division commander. So I'm pretty forward deployed here, right? But the idea is to force him to either fight through here or just kind of force him to go around. Chattanooga is pretty well defended in terms of positioning, right? He's got to go around, down through the mountains, or down through the rail lines, and I'm behind a river. So I feel pretty good about the defensive position here. I don't know what he has above me. That's probably like a 1200 stack right there. No, more than that. 3 divisions, that's gonna be like a 2000 power stack. So he's got, looks like 2 corps. 1 corps there, 1 corps there, which is fine because that's what I've got. And so I feel good with that, with the defense position and the river crossing. Should be good. He might attack me here, and if he does, I only have 1 corps in support, but that's fine because, again, with this late in the game, my goal is to just delay and make him have to fight for every inch. And then my depot is right back here in Decor. So here's his positioning along the Mississippi. And then over here, okay, so down in Mississippi, as I previously mentioned, I pulled a Jackson to try and attack him in Mobile. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking all this cavalry and I'm going to start tearing up these rail lines as soon as this division is out of there. So I'm moving this division out of New Orleans, moving him up the rail line, get him out, set him up to ultimately connect with Johnston's army. I'm moving Morgan down to New Orleans to just try and hold that for a little bit longer. Although I'm kind of the point where I feel like losing New Orleans is hard, right? Because look at that supply, 4,500, 2,000. I mean, it's and I debated. Do I just want to like hold out to the last man down here, or what do I want to do? Well, my concern was if I move Johnston down here, he's cornered, right? He can kind of corner me in and really make sure I don't get out of there. And so I'd be able to hold it, but for how long, right? So I ultimately decided to give it up. I hate to do that, but I'm reestablishing my defensive line over here. And basically anything west of that is going to get taken. So that being said, right over here, Texas. So I'm going to slowly start pulling everybody out of Texas. Moving this kind of east. One, obviously train those militia up to line officers or line infantry. And then obviously integrate this stack in with other armies. And just kind of give up Texas. Moving these guys up here just to try and, as best as I can, limit supply coming down here. Although kind of at this point it's really kind of futile. But, gotta have them do something, so that's why I'm doing it. And then moving these guys over here. And again, I'm just trying to disrupt the supply going down into Texas as best as I can. And from what I can tell on the map, I would imagine it's doing a good job because he doesn't have any way to get supply down here. But that being said, he's probably got decent supply in this stockade, these little supply areas in this here. So, I don't know if it's effective or not. We'll see. But I got Cantrell who's coming down. He can, as you can see, he's a pillager. So if I can take that fort, he'll destroy it. But I'm going to move Mosby back. I'm going to put him, because I'm desperate for officers. So I'm either going to put him in charge of a cavalry unit out there in Alabama, or put him in charge of a division. Okay, so as you can see, he went down the river, right, and then just totally left the interior of Arkansas alone, which I thought's funny, kind of funny. I am moving some pillagers back here in the back corner, trying to tear up this rail line, just to make it a little bit more difficult for him to push troops down into lower Tennessee and into Mississippi. Down here in South Carolina, he landed in Savannah. I, set up shop here. He hasn't attacked me. He hasn't tried to do anything. I connected him with Albert City Johnston. It looks like he's making a move on Charleston. So he jumped across here. He's digging in. He has a core there. So I don't know what I'm going to do about this yet. I only have 3 divisions here. And so, I could pull 1 division out of there and dump it in Charleston. But then I have 2 divisions versus his 2 corps, right? So I don't want to do that necessarily. So it's kind of got me in a bind there. I just don't have the resources to dedicate to Charleston right now. I'm going to have to think of some things I can do to rectify that. I am bringing him down. I kind of plan to use him to kind of harass his navy down here, since again I don't know what happened to my Mississippi fleet. Like, it just disappeared. It one turn it was just gone. Like, I have no idea where it went. The only thing I can think of is it was sitting in like a harbor somewhere and he captured the harbor. That's the only thing I can think of. But that was like a major oops on my part, like a massive blunder on my part, because that was a pretty hefty fleet and I couldn't have gone toe to toe with him, but I could certainly have inflicted some casualties. So down here, I've got all these guys hanging out and doing blockade running. And let's see if there's any messages here. Our blockade runners got us 10 money and 4 war supply this turn. So that's what happened there. That's the only real note to pull from there. As far as cards, I don't think I'm using any cards this turn. Sorry, I don't mean to bounce the screen around on you too much. All right, so for builds, we did start the turn with 134 we had 134 income. We were up to 227 on total income. So for builds, I'm building 3 more artillery pieces, a little bit of infantry, and then the rest on replacements. So this is really healthy numbers. 131 for the Confederacy. That's really healthy. I'm putting another 4 into that, so that'll bring it up to 10. Cavalry, we're a little low, so I put that up, a couple. And then artillery, obviously, replace those. Increasing the rail pool. Okay, and casualties. All right, so we are at 200. We've captured almost 27,000 Union troops over the course of the last 3.5 years. We've lost 204,000 troops, and he has lost 232, almost 233,000 troops. His morale is really high for the Union, 98. Mine is at 120, which is pretty good. I did lose a little bit because I lost Mobile, so I lost that. However, I won that battle with Lee, which I think gave me a national morale. So I lost 3, gained 1, and then there's a event that fired that caused me to lose 1. So I lost a few. I lost 3 total. I don't know what event that was. That he's proclaiming partial mobilization. So he's really going all in, huh? So yeah, here's what the overall map looks like. Let me do that and then I'll conclude this video. Up here's Virginia. This is my primary rail line from west to east. As you can see, he's really pushing down into Tennessee and Mississippi, northern Mississippi. But I'm holding, and then he's landed down here in Mobile. And he's slowly kind of taken all of Mississippi down to Louisiana into New Orleans. And he's also landed here, right? So pushing here, pushing here, pushing here, and here is where he is actively pushing right now. All right, let's run the turn, and the next video we'll pick it up in late October.